Welcome back to StitchPhiles with Baird in America. I'm Brandon.
And I am Bob.
Back again.
For another amazing episode.
On track, we are.
Are we on track?
Yeah, we'll be.
Oh, you mean as far as...
Episodes
yes,
when they come out.
Yeah. Well, this is last week was the first full week that I had been in the office.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's correct.
Correct. All right, so we're going to talk you out.
First, we're going to talk about the Murdaugh trial.
Oh, don't get me started.
That is been a lot of excitement around this office with Brandon and Jamie and I. And we're not going to talk about that. That's not today's.
I got to find something else to do. So I've watched.
How many hours did you spend?
I'm a juror.
Yeah.
Let it be known. That's why I haven't been here.
I could have gotten into it, probably. I could have. But.
You were into it.
I was into it a little bit, but not as much as you were.
Yeah. I told you I digested it.
Tori, your cousin.
I know her.
She can tell you anything. She must have studied it.
I can too. I've watched hours.
She knows the backstory.
I do too.
Things that I didn't know.
Yeah.
About the other murders and all that.
There weren't murders. Allegedly.
Alleged.
Yeah.
Murders.
It's crazy.
Killings. Yeah.
Well,
it's had the whole country.
I'll say this. Justice was served?
Yeah, on a paper plate, maybe.
Yeah, I don't know.
So, it wasn't as popular as the OJ trial, was it?
No. That was
yeah.
cool.
Because he was a celebrity.
Yeah. He made Broncos like a popular thing.
He did. Yeah, I don't know. Nothing good's going to come out of this. Except that he's going to jail for...
Let's see. Benelli shotgun stocks have gone down. 300 blackout gone down.
Did you see his jumpsuit, though? It wasn't even orange. It was kind of cool. The jumpsuit that he had on was kind of an olive or tannish looking. I'm like, I could rock that.
You don't want to rock that.
No, I don't want to.
Yeah.
But
anyway, we digress.
We are digressing. We always have to start off with a digression.
Should I say a
and I'm sure there'll be several more. Anyway,
yeah,
I think we got pretty good topics.
Yeah, we're gonna give you. We've narrowed them down to 5.
No,
what do you mean no?
We've never done 5.
We've narrowed them down to 5.
Oh, I thought you said we've never done a 5. Yeah, I was hesitant about. It's like a cliche. I'm going to give you 5 reasons.
This is what people. This gets clicks, brother.
It is, and I'm falling right into that trap. I'm no better than anybody else.
Yeah. Well, anyway, we're going to give you 5 reasons to get into embroidery.
Yes.
Or 5 reasons not to.
Not to, and the not to, people are like, I don't know what they're saying. Oh, I didn't see that coming. You guys are brilliant. We never saw that coming.
Yeah. When you asked me yesterday if I thought it was a good idea, I was
you said no.
Oh no.
See? And then you thought about it, and what happened?
Here we are.
There you go.
Yeah. So yeah, we'll see how this goes. Should be interesting.
5 reasons to get into the embroidery business,
mm-hmm.
And then we're going to flip flop and say, here 5 not to.
Yeah.
You shouldn't do it. Don't do it.
Buckle your seatbelts.
We're going to discourage you after we encourage you.
Yeah.
That water tastes funny.
Is it out of the
yes.
filter thing? What's it called?
I don't know if I cleaned my cup.
Probably got half coffee, half water.
I was at my mom's last night. Was it last night? They had flushed the fire hydrants in her neighborhood.
Yeah.
And I went to the bathroom.
Did you think you needed to go to the doctor?
Well, I asked her, I said,
am I bleeding?
I think you need to take me to the hospital because there's like a really weird color of
my rectum
water coming out
has
of me.
prolapsed.
She says, oh no, it's not you, sweetie. She said, they flushed the fire hydrants. I'm like,
you said, well, I just got them flushing my fire hydrant.
Yeah, thank goodness. Thank goodness. I thought I was dying. I thought I had some kind of disease.
Yeah, does it do it in your neighborhood?
They don't do it very often. Usually in the summertime. It's kind of weird they do it this time of year, though. Usually they go through the neighborhoods in our city and do them. They'll usually tell you, and there's usually a schedule. Mm-hmm. If you get that little large scale. I've been trying to figure out when they're going to do the
LA bulletin,
the spring cleanup. Mm-hmm. They don't have it out for April yet because I got to clean up my barn.
Yeah, I got some stuff I need to get rid of.
Well, I'll tell you.
2 kids, a wife.
Well, I don't know if they'll take them. Yeah, you can put it. They say you can put anything in a dumpster that's not flammable.
I think this is biological material.
Yeah. You don't think you could throw them in there?
Can I? Yes. Should I? No.
Yeah.
Would it be flagged by the city? Of course.
Probably so.
Yeah. Next thing you know, I'd be on trial.
I got to clean out my barn. I can't get another thing in. There's a lot of junk in there.
The barn's full.
It's full. Can't even get my cow in there. It's got to stay outside in the cold weather.
Yeah. Well, some housekeeping stuff. The Impressions, New Jersey.
Right around the corner.
Yep. March 23rd through the 25th. I did put the code in the comments on the last video because it wouldn't let me pin it. I did it. I edited the text of the description and it wouldn't save. So I'll retry that. But if not, I'll put it in the description again. So that'll save you your admission to the show.
Yeah, please come. Come and see us. Come and see the new machines. If you have any questions about the machines, Earl Hickman, our #1 super duper tech over all the techs, the Lord of the techs.
#1 super guy.
Yep. Good guy, too. One of my close friends. He'll be there to answer your technical questions.
Yeah.
And if Earl doesn't know it, then...
Don't nobody know it.
If Earl doesn't know the answer to your question, then you probably didn't ask the right question.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't make sense, does it?
It does.
It does to me.
I'll follow.
Oh, thank you.
We're both 219.
Yes.
So hope to see you there.
Yeah. Please come.
All right, let's dive into this can of worms, if you will.
It is a can of worms.
You want to do the reasons 2 first?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yes,
okay.
We're going to do that. Absolutely.
So if you want to hear why you shouldn't be an embroiderer, stay tuned.
You got to listen to the end of it.
Yeah, this will be about 2 hours. So at hour number 2.
With a brief intermission.
Yeah. Coffee breaks.
Yeah.
Okay, #1 reason 2 is the startup costs are relatively affordable.
Yes.
Which I think is a good point.
It is.
If you look at the cost of a machine, say a single head, it's pretty reasonable. And then your return on investment is also good.
Yeah. And this is probably geared more toward startups, single heads. Not that people can't start with a multi-head, and we have had people that have.
For sure.
But most people start with a single and then move up from there. But, yeah, you buy your machine. You know, you can do this in your garage, in your bedroom. You know, the Pro 3 and the XL or the CA2, they'll easily fit in your house. They'll go through a 32-inch or 32-inch, 36-inch doorway, 32-inch doorway.
32.
So you can get them in your house. You don't have to pay rent somewhere if you don't want to. So as far as the machine goes,
a CO1 will also go in a bedroom, but that would mean a bed will not.
Yeah, a bed won't. You have to sleep under your CO1.
Yeah, or on top of it. You can sleep on the tabletops.
Make it like a bunk bed / embroidery machine. That would be cool, wouldn't it?
Put a slide on it. You can slide out and start your day.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that. But, yeah, the initial getting into a business, I mean, if you think about other businesses you have to get into, say if you're opening up a restaurant or let's say you do a franchise.
Mm-hmm. Food truck.
Any of that stuff, that's a pretty big outlay of cash. But, you know, you could get everything you needed in embroidery for 20. I mean, I'm even thinking about if you want to get buy a few garments just for samples, you could probably do everything for about $25,000 if you went all out, whole hog.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Yeah, I do.
Under 25.
Whole hog's my favorite.
Yeah. So it's from that aspect as far as the outlay of money. I mean, if you have the entrepreneurial spirit and you want to get into business and you're looking for something to get into, I would look at embroidery.
Mm-hmm.
Very lucrative. So that's #1. Brandon?
Yep. That is #1.
That is #1.
Bob.
There will be a second one right after this one, and which will be...
That's how the numbers work.
Yes.
#2, supply costs are very affordable.
Yeah, they are. When you look at other Again, if you go to a restaurant, you got to buy foods.
We know what that costs nowadays.
Vegetables, yeah. Well, vegetables are food. Not to your son, but.
This is true, yeah.
But he doesn't eat vegetables. But
potatoes are a vegetable. He likes potatoes.
Yeah, he likes them. But, yeah, your supplies are low. Another thing to consider, too, is you don't have to order your stock until a customer comes to you and says, hey, I want 50 shirts. It's not like you have to have a bunch of them in stock. You need to keep a few samples and maybe a few caps, maybe a few polo shirts, things like that, depending on your business. But you don't have thousands of dollars worth of inventory sitting there.
Right.
You will probably accumulate a lot of inventory the longer you're in business, just because you order a dozen, and maybe the customer only takes 8 or 10 or whatever. But from the onset, you don't have to order a bunch of inventory. So, to me, that's a big plus too. Yep. Is not having to order stock, other than thread, bobbins, and backing. That's pretty much it.
Yeah, and you think about this, like just thread, for example, like that Madeira cone in front of us.
Which one?
Let's go with the green. It looks the fullest.
That one.
Yep. So that's was that 5,500 yards? Is that right?
5,000 meters.
Yeah. A yard and a meter are very close.
They're very close.
Yeah.
But you're looking at 1 million stitches in that cone of thread right there. So a lot of bang for your buck when you think about it. I can't remember what's Madeira selling for now. $9 a quarter, $9.50 a cone, something like that. $8.75.
Yeah,
something
if it's
like
even that
poly.
much, I'm not real sure.
I'm not sure. I can't remember. We don't buy thread. I know what the thread kit costs with 15 cones, but so yeah, when you're looking at all the stitching you get out of a cone of thread, it's fractions.
Yeah, it's pennies.
Yeah, so you can put it into your cost because obviously you have to buy it. But if you look at per design, you may left chest design, you may have a nickel's worth of thread in there.
Yeah,
even if that, maybe 3 cents. But that's another thing to consider if you're looking at a business to get into.
Number 3.
I may have already touched on this, but
what was number 3?
Home-based.
Oh
business.
yeah,
I did kind of allude to it
a little bit.
Bit.
Yeah, we talked about size. So, being able to run this from your home, not having to have the overhead of rent, and it doesn't take up very much space. I mean, the XL and the Pro, it's a pretty small footprint.
Yeah, a lot of folks have these in their houses, garages. Maybe if you wanted to buy like one of those, we call them Dutch barns, or and I
call it an Amish barn.
Amish barn, Amish bone, Amish barn. Yeah. There was a company in Greensboro that sold Amish barns, and there ain't an Amish person within 100 miles of here.
Probably
500 miles.
What are Moravians?
What are they? They make good cookies, I can tell you that.
I don't know.
They're up in Winston-Salem. The Moravian is the Moravian church still up there? I know every Christmas it's like come and get yourself some Moravian cookies. Those things are good.
Yeah, they
are. You can almost read a newspaper through them.
Yeah, they're thin. There's the problem with them. You get a sleeve of them. They come in like a tube. It's
like a potato chip. You can't eat.
You don't realize that you've eaten the whole tube. It's like, oh my goodness.
But I don't even know. I mean, they make molasses. My favorite's the molasses cookies. Then they make a spice, sugar.
I've only had I think the spice one. Don't they have ginger and
nutmeg?
My wife she worked at Old Salem. She was a shoemaker.
When?
I was in high school.
How old is she?
She's 115.
Old Salem?
Yeah.
That place was like founded in 1756 or something like that.
For those of you who don't know, there's a little section in Winston-Salem it's like a tourist spot.
It was Salem before it was Winston-Salem.
Yeah.
It was,
where all the witches were burned.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
That Salem.
No. Yeah, she was, sorry, text message. Yeah, she worked in the shoe. She was a cobbler.
I can't see Ashley being a cobbler.
Mm-hmm. She was.
I bet she hit her fingers a lot with a hammer.
I don't even know how they make them.
So did she work at
Old Salem, at whatever it's called? It's called Old Salem, right?
As a demonstrator.
Yeah,
or
no, but they sold the shoes, like the shoes she would make. They sell in the gift shop and all. Who would want them? I don't know.
No offense to your wife, but I wouldn't buy a shoe that she made.
I wouldn't either. She can't even make breakfast.
Yeah, I don't know about that. She's not here to defend herself, but
we could call her.
How long did that last?
I don't know. A couple of years, I think she did it.
She made shoes for 2 years.
Yeah.
She get paid?
Yeah.
I never knew this.
There's a lot of things you don't know about her.
How long have you guys been married?
Oh, man. 17 years.
And I never knew this.
Is that right? 16. It'll be 17.
I mean, I got some shoes. You got some shoes
that are 17 years old?
No. Yeah, I need to take them, see if she can fix them up for me.
I wouldn't trust her.
Think she could resole my boots?
Mm-mm. She's handy with a needle and thread, like stitching up stuff. Not an embroidery machine, but by hand.
Well, I know her grandmother quilts.
She's very good.
Yeah, she is. She is very good. Where were we?
Those embroidery machines don't take up space. I had a stroke. They don't take up much space. That's where we left off at.
Yes. They don't.
Yep.
They're small. And now there are people who add embroidery to an existing business, like a gift shop or like apparel, if they sell apparel or something like that. But we're basically talking about a home-based business as a startup. It's like, was you and I talking about, I think you and I one time were talking about putting in a coffee shop. Remember this? We talked about
it. It's been a fantasy of mine for a long time.
Yeah. Now we have 5 here in Archdale, so we don't need a 6th. But
I don't frequent any of them.
You know, I don't either. I go to Chat and Chew. That's a stupid name.
It's not really. It's what you do there.
Chat and Chew. We don't chew coffee.
No, they're known for their cakes.
They got snacks and
sandwiches.
Yeah, ice cream. And then we got the Wet Whistle.
Mm-hmm. Coffee bar. Starbucks coming soon.
They got the sign up.
They were. It was yesterday when I was going to get my hair cut, and they had the other sign hanging off a crane.
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they had it on the crane, and I'm like, where are they putting that?
I don't know, because I don't think you can put a.
No, they put it on the corner on the post that they put it on. Looks like it's about 15 feet tall. There's an ordinance here. You can't put the big.
That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
They can't put it up very high.
That's why Cracker Barrel didn't come. Couldn't have their big sign, interstate sign.
Yeah, that was a point of contention in my household.
And then Dunkin' Donuts is going in right across the street from Starburst in the old Hardee's building. Did I tell you that?
I thought it was going. This is pointless. Nobody knows. I thought it was going further up the road there.
No, next to the gym.
Mm-hmm.
No, they canceled that.
Wow.
Because they were supposed to do Dunkin' Donuts, Jimmy John's, Stone Cold.
Stone Cold Steve Austin
Stone Cold. Yeah. Is it Stone Cold?
Cold Stone.
Cold Stone. That's what it is. I knew it was something
Stone
like that.
Cold. Stone Cold Creamery.
Come and get some ice cream.
Yeah.
So that fell through. Something happened with that piece of land there. I got a buddy that's on the town council in Archdale, so he tells me all the stuff.
Yeah, all the drama that goes on in the city.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It's ridiculous.
Small town drama.
It's crazy. It's nuts. Anyway.
Yeah.
Anyway, my point to this was we were talking about putting in a coffee shop, and an espresso machine is like a good one is like $25,000.
Oh yeah, yeah.
For good coffee, whatever that thing does.
Yeah.
So
yeah, so embroidery's cheaper than a coffee shop.
It is. It's cheaper than coffee, and you can't sell coffee out of your house legally. Legally. You could, but legally you can't.
Yeah.
So,
all right, moving on. Number 4. You have the liberty of controlling your own schedule and your work hours. How exciting does that sound?
Yeah, I thought about this one for a long time because usually...
This could also be a negative as well.
Yeah, it could be. We could put it down at the bottom as much because the thing about having your own business, people who dream of having their own business, we had a business. My dad had a couple businesses. Freedom, I do what I want to do. No, you're tied.
You become more busy than you were if you worked for the man.
Exactly. but you are your own boss. I mean, it's up to you to decide how much you want to sew, how many jobs you want to take, which ones you want to turn down. I mean, when we had our embroidery / screen printing business, it was only supposed to be on the weekends.
How'd that work out?
That didn't last very long. I mean, the reason that we got out of it is because we were just overwhelmed with work, and we had, with my wife working full time, which full time was 36 hours a week, and then me working full time and traveling, it just wasn't working out. But it was fun, and I learned a lot from doing it. If I could go back and change it, I would not, because it taught me things about the embroidery business, about ordering product, customers. Mm-hmm. I mean, it taught me a lot. And we did well at it, and never advertised, never bought one piece of advertising at all. Yeah. No website, nothing. It was all done by word of mouth. And, like I've said before, if we would have stayed in it, we would have had to buy a multi-head, and we just weren't ready for it. So,
yeah, and it would have been, you choose, this is our full-time job, or,
Well, it got bigger than we anticipated. My sister was doing the selling, and she knows there's two people in this family that know everybody in Archdale, and that's your wife and my sister. Mm-hmm. They know everybody. I tend to stay away from people.
I also.
And they tend to gravitate toward people.
Although you do have a friend on the city council, so I don't know what that says about you.
I call him a friend. He's probably more of an acquaintance.
Y'all never hung out outside the gym?
No.
He took my place.
Did he?
Sounds like it, because I'm not there anymore.
Oh, at the gym? Mm-hmm. Oh, I thought you meant on the city council. I'm like, you never been on the city council.
Oh, yeah, I was. For a season.
You ever been to a meeting?
One.
I've never been. I don't care anything about it. It's politics, and I don't, no.
You don't dabble?
No. Nope. Ain't for me. No, I would choke somebody. I'd choke them out.
Yeah, so we're talking about being able to control your own schedule and hours. It could be a negative, because as you're describing.
Well, again, if you want to do, we're thinking that you're doing this full time, and we know people that just do it part time. I talked to a couple people at the show at the last one I was at in Connecticut, and I talked to one lady. She said, "Yeah, I just do this when I want to." She said, "I don't want any more business." She said, "I've got like 7 or 8 customers." Because she said, if I want to take a vacation or if I want to do something, I'm not going to be a slave to that embroidery machine. So, she was a retired school teacher. And she said, I don't want to work 6 days a week. So, from that perspective, yeah, I mean, if you have your machine and you don't have to make a machine payment, not everybody can write a check for $20,000. But if you can, and it's an investment in you doing something to keep you busy and making a few bucks on the side, that's a pretty good trade-off. Yeah. I think.
The other thing, too, is...
There's two ways to look at it. If you want to make it a full-time stay-at-home job, like for a stay-at-home mother, or a retiree that's just bored, or you just want to do it part-time, and you can easily find 5, 6, 7 clients and just cut it off there. Yeah. Just say, this is all I'm doing. They bring me enough work where I keep busy,
You can be as busy or as not busy as you want to be.
So this, again, this is a plus.
It is. When and I was going to say, too, you can pick your hours. It's not like you're not, I clock in at 9 and I clock out at 5. Right. You could start at 10 and work to 6, or take 10 to 2. You choose it. It's your business.
I know, when we had our business, we were tied to a loan. So we had to produce to pay our. We leased embroidery machines and screen printing equipment. So, and it wasn't a big. It wasn't so big. If it would have sat there, we could have made the payment on it, but it more than paid for itself.
Yep.
So again, controlling your schedule and hours. Yeah, that's up to you. How much of this do you want to bite off? Do you want to be a full-time embroiderer or part-time embroiderer? These really aren't hobbyist machines. These are serious commercial embroidery machines. That's not to say you couldn't use it for a hobby.
Yeah.
I remember this, and we did a Fort Worth, Texas show. This has been 15 years ago, and I cannot remember. If I named this guy, you'd know who he was. He was a professional baseball player. He played for Houston, I think. But the show was in Fort Worth, and his wife came up to Fort Worth, and long story short, she bought an embroidery machine. And I didn't know who she was until she said, well, my husband's a professional baseball player. And I thought, oh, was he play for the Hooterville Hound Dogs,
It's a great team. They're supposed to go all the way this year.
I heard they're good. They're the starting pitcher. Starting pitcher.
Hooterville?
That's something popped into my mind.
Hooter popped in your mind. Okay, got it. Followed. Anyway, the Hooterville.
That's where Uncle Joe lived, wasn't it? Wasn't that where Petticoat Junction was? Wasn't it in Hooterville? You're too young. You don't
I know the show. I don't know.
Wasn't it Hooterville?
I don't know.
Hooterville's, just the name Hooterville's fine. Of course. I'm going to offend somebody. I'm sorry. Anyway, back to the Hooterville Hound Dogs. No. I lost my train of thought.
You said. She said my professional husband is a professional baseball player.
And I said, oh yeah, I wouldn't pay any attention. Matter of fact, I think I was doing the order. I sold her the machine, and I was on my laptop like doing an order. And I'm like, yeah, well, who's he play for? I said, he didn't play for Hooterville. No, I didn't say that. She said, oh yeah, he plays for the Houston Astros. I'm like, and I looked at her name. I'm like, are you? But I can't think of the name. I have to ask Robert Grundy.
How long ago was this?
That's been 15 years ago. Oh, he's retired by now.
Well, I'm sure.
Anyway, she wrote a check for it. My point to all this, if you're able to write a check, which she was, the nicest lady, very nice, and she just very intelligent, asked a lot of questions. But while I'm telling you this is, I said, well, are you going into the embroidery business? She said, oh, goodness, no. She said, I just want to kind of play around with it and maybe do some stuff for my kids and maybe for their school. Well, long story short, she came back about 3 years later and bought another singlet because it started growing. And she had an embroidery shop for a while. I think she bought a building somewhere in Houston, and I think it was Houston. Anyway,
was it Hooterville Embroidery?
I think it was Hooterville Hound Dog Embroidery. You got to admit that's pretty good. I mean, for me to think that off the top of my head, that sounds like a minor league baseball team.
Yeah, they always have like Savannah Bananas and yeah.
Baseball season, baby.
I'm pumped. Braves are looking rough.
They won last night.
Yeah,
you can't pay it.
You can't. I know.
They don't even play. They are playing more.
I know
of their A and double A.
I know that.
People.
I know
their pitchers may pitch an inning.
Yeah,
you can't. Nobody cares about that.
I'm pumped though, man. I could love baseball season.
Well, the Rockers, our minor league team. I love those games. That is so much fun.
Yeah, it's a great stadium.
It's not Hooterville, but
it's no Hooterville.
I will tell you, they did a good job with that baseball stadium, and they start in May. They don't start till May, do they? They don't start in April.
I think it is the end of April.
I think they're going to have a pretty good team this year, from what I've read.
Man, you can't hang your hat on that because the very first game I ever went to, Rockers opening game, their starting pitcher had got called up. So you don't know what's going to happen.
That's true. That's true. They bring in really good players, and then you think you're going to see him, and it's like, oh, guess what? He got called up to the
Hooterville Hound Dogs.
The reason I mentioned this about names is one team in that league where the Rockers play, they're called the isotopes. You remember this?
Genomes.
Which is for the life of me, I can't imagine what their mascot is.
It looks like an atom, which doesn't make sense.
I thought a genome was part of a cell.
Genome is...
You don't know either.
No, I'm trying to...
You're a biologist and you don't know.
I'm not a biologist. I have a degree in biology, but it's part of your DNA. But I don't know what the cell has to do with it. It looks like an atom. I'm pretty sure that's what their logo is.
Well, how would you make a mascot suit?
No.
I mean, if you're Hooterville Hound Dogs, that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
All right. We'll get off that.
Number 5, embroidery can be profitable. We did an entire podcast on this. We
did, and it can be very profitable. Yep. It absolutely can. You know, you buy your product, you mark your product up, then you put a logo on it, and you've had tons of value. You charge for the logo, and there's really good profit. If you do it right, you know, and price things right, you can really do well with embroidery. So, and I can almost guarantee you, unless you're just not very smart, you can accidentally make money with embroidery. Mm-hmm. And it's not like you got to sew 1,000 pieces either. It's buying the product, getting with the right clients who can give you a little bit of repeat business. You know, where you have that coming back. You know, and again, we're talking very small orders here, but the small orders tend to pay better. Well, they don't tend to. They do pay better per piece than the large orders do. So yeah, there's money in it. And you don't have to run your machine every day, 8 hours a day. You can sew your machine 2 or 3 days a week if you've got some pretty good orders and make money at it. Yeah. So from that aspect, it's extremely profitable. Look, we did it on the weekends and sometimes during the evening when we had our machines, and we were making pretty good money. We really were. I was surprised how well we were doing. You know, so. Yeah, I think that wraps up the 5 reasons, and there are more, but we just kind of thought these are the things that we get asked at shows and by customers that call in. You know, they'll say, "Well, can I make money at this?" or you know, what's it going to cost me out the door with everything? So we're answering some of the questions that we get most frequently from customers and prospects, mostly prospects. All
right, the moment you've all been waiting for.
This is going to be a good one. This is the part I like. Oh, yeah. We built this up. Now we're going to tear it all down.
That's right. The house of cards is fixing to crumble. So the reasons not to. You start them off there.
Well, embroidery takes time to master. If you've never done this before, you can't expect to jump in and be a great embroiderer. And I've said this hundreds of times, maybe a bazillion times. Being a machine operator and an embroiderer are 2 different things. Anybody can run the machine. We can teach anybody how to put loaded designs, set the colors, do a perimeter trace, and push the button, fix a thread break, replace the bobbin. But to be an embroiderer, that takes time. I've seen people who've bought machines and probably, well, they did a lot better than I ever give them credit. I'm thinking, oh, this person, this is going to be a struggle. And they come back in a couple months and like, man, I'm killing it. And you see some of the stuff they're doing and it's like, wow, they're doing some really good, really nice work. And I've seen some people who you thought, man, they're talking about selling their machine or they want to get out of the business, and it's like, and you're thinking, this person's pretty bright. Why didn't they get it? And maybe it just wasn't for them for whatever reason. You know, maybe there's more work involved than what they thought. You know, I think there's a pretty big misconception with some folks that, yeah, you just push the button and the machine does everything for you. Right. And that's right to a certain extent, but you still have to do the hooping and the framing, loading the designs. So,
yeah, and understanding different materials,
yes.
different backings, and different thread weights, needles, and I mean, there's a lot to it, and yeah, it might be a little bit more than you bargained for.
So that takes me back to the, I kind of added to this, you need machine operating skills, and you do. And not only the machine, but the hooping aspect, getting it straight.
Mm-hmm.
What size hoop to use, the backings, all the things that go with. To me, that's the hardest part. To me, it's hard. It takes time. It's not hard. If you put the work into it, it takes time to become an embroiderer. The thing now where everybody has a huge advantage getting into this. When I first started, I had to rely on, there was no internet, there was no YouTube, there were no books, there was nothing. You had to rely on people teaching you.
Yep.
And which was fine. I mean, that's been done throughout history. But I remember Sam Smith and Connie Stone, when I first started with McPherson Meistergram, they were the two trainers, and I spent a week learning the machines, and a week it wasn't enough.
Yeah.
You know, a month wouldn't have been enough. So a lot of this stuff, if you take an interest in it, and dive into it and want to be a good embroiderer, there's a lot of resources out there. And a lot of it is, too, you have to develop your own techniques
mm-hmm.
and way of doing things, because everybody's got a different idea of how it should be done.
Yeah.
But the basics are always the same.
Yeah. And
always the same.
You'll see 10 different ways to do something, right. And, you know, find what works for you. If the end product is quality, you're happy with it, then stick with that.
Right.
So, and somebody else, they've got a different way to do it. That doesn't mean they're right or wrong.
Yeah, I love talking to other embroiderers to find out, well, how do you do that?
Mm-hmm.
And I may not agree with them, but if it's working for them, then who am I to say it's wrong, you know? And other embroiderers have taught me a lot, too. I'm like, I never thought about doing it that way. Man, that's a really good idea, and I'm going to steal it. And next time I do it, I'm going to use your idea. So... but now there's so many resources now that it's easier to become, you know, the time it takes to become a good embroiderer is shortened than what it was when I first got into the industry. I mean, it took me I was so self-conscious, even when I was talking about machines, and you know this, if you're at a trade show where you're talking to a customer on the phone and they want to know what you know, what do you know about backings?
Mm-hmm.
You know, what do you know about needles? I mean, there's a lot of stuff you have to know in order to become an effective salesperson.
Yeah.
So all of that really kind of goes hand in hand, and it just boils down to experience.
Yeah, and YouTube University.
Yeah, but the longer you're in this, the more friends that you acquire that know things, and you know, if I get stumped on something, I have people that I can call and say, have you seen this before, or this technique, or what do you think about this? I'm at the end of my thought. That's it. There's a pregnant pause there.
Yeah, usually you go and then you finish.
Yeah,
okay.
I thought I had something else, but I guess I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you covered it.
Yeah, I think so. I felt like I was over-explaining there for a minute.
No such thing. All right, number 2, perhaps you're not great at multitasking or even organization, I would say, because you're juggling a couple things at a time between you got something running on the machine, hooping up your next item, keeping everything ordered.
Taking orders.
Yes, taking
selling.
Orders. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a juggling act. So maybe you don't have the personality or the brainwaves to keep that in order. That could be a problem.
Yeah, because if you have an ice cream shop and you're the only person in your ice cream shop, and
how are you going to take an order and scoop and sprinkle?
You could do it.
It's tough.
Yeah, but you could do that. Here you got a hoop, load the design, set the colors, get the garment. When you're doing an ice cream,
as I often do,
grab a cone, I'm talking soft serve. I wouldn't do the scooping. That's too hard. I got carpal tunnel. I can't scoop. So you would want to practice to make a really nice. I don't eat much ice cream because I'm lactose intolerant, and it's not very good when I eat ice cream. But your mother and I went to Jason's Deli 2 weekends ago. Got a salad bar, healthy.
Do they have ice cream there?
Yes.
I don't think I knew
so
that.
Kim, my wife, says, no. I said, I'm going to get an ice cream. She says, I said, yeah. I said, I had a nice, healthy salad.
I'm going to ruin it.
I did. My salad was very healthy. Out of 10, I would have given it an 8. Balsamic vinaigrette.
I mean, come on.
I was good, and I said I deserve a treat. And she said,
"That's where you went wrong."
It was not. Yeah, later on it was not good, but sometimes I'll just get it because we eat there every couple months or so. I really like Jason's Deli. Usually I'll get it in a dish, and I said, I'm going for the cone. I'm doing the cone.
You're gonna be a bad boy.
And I got the cone. And one thing, when I get a cone, what I don't like about the scooped ice cream, I like that ice cream down in the bottom of the cone. I want it to be all the way in the bottom. So when I'm eating cone, I'm eating ice cream. I want the full sugar.
Because the cone's the worst part. Nobody wants the end of that cone.
Their cones are actually pretty good. Those plain old cake cones. Anyway, I said, I'm going to make this really, really pretty. It's harder than you think. It would take me a while to become a good ice cream. Like if I had to go get a job in an ice cream store and they said, have you ever, done this? I would say,
I've been at Jason's Deli.
Yeah, I've done a few at Jason's Deli. And they would probably hire me because the job market sucks right now. It's hard to find people. I mean, if you made a cone that was flat on top, they'd probably still give you a job. But I was really concentrating on making that. I had like people watching me. Like, can this guy pull it off? I didn't. I didn't pull it off.
It went in the floor.
No. It really looked like it was lopsided. It kind of leaned like the Leaning Tower pizza.
Heard of it.
Pizza. I'm like, that's not very good. And it wasn't even tall either. I was just thinking if somebody asked for a double decker, I would have lost it. It would have fallen off.
So what are you getting at with the?
What am I getting?
I don't know.
What's the gist of the story? If
multitasking.
Yes. If you're a one-man ice cream shop, you get your ice cream, you take the money, and you're done. Here, it's not like that. At the end of the day, I may have to order more ice cream, but I figure I got enough to do it during the day, right?
Yeah.
So my point to this is running an ice cream shop's easier than doing this. So if you're thinking about getting into business, maybe an ice cream shop's good for you and not an embroidery machine. That's what I'm thinking.
5 reasons to become an ice cream entrepreneur.
Yeah, it's the multitasking, just like you said. Actually, you got to get the, whether you're going to digitize the design, whether it's a stock design, whether you're making the name in your software, whether you're ordering or sending your digitizing out if it's a custom design. You got to handle that part of it. Then you got to handle ordering the product that, if you don't have it, that the customer wants. You got to make sure you have the colors that they want. You got to make sure you have, maybe ready to sew and it's like, oh, I'm out of bobbins. You really have to be good at planning and multitasking. If you're doing this yourself and you're a one-man show, it can be.
And even keeping up with this order goes to this person and that. I mean, even something that seems simple when you've got a lot of orders coming in, just imagine. Well, okay, where's this going now?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when we had our business, to me the embroidery part was pretty easy, but the screen printing part was a little more difficult.
Tell me about it.
Well, first of all, you had a lot more product to do because when you're doing screen printing, you're very rarely going to do a dozen shirts.
Yeah.
You want to do 50, 75, 100, 150, 200 because that's where your money is. But and nobody ever wants the thread that you have in stock.
No.
It's always, it's got to be
the flame retardant gold.
Yeah.
What?
So there's a lot of balls to juggle with this, and you have to be a good multitasker. And you have to be extremely organized, and that's tough for some people.
I'm not the most organized individual.
I think I am. I feel pretty good about being organized. It may not look like it if you walk into my office
or listen to you talk.
Yeah, but I always have a plan in here. Now, getting it from here to there might be a little bit tough, but
there's a little more. Bottom line, there's more involved to it than just press and go on the machine.
Yeah,
there needs to be some organization.
Yeah, and we're talking from if it's your business and you're doing it all, it's running the machine to me is again, that's the easiest part is hooping and doing the actual embroidery, but all the preparation you have to do, the designs and the backings, what backing to use, what garment, and it gets to be tough. I mean, when we had our business, Kim did most of the ordering, or Sharon did most of the ordering. I would get the backing because I knew kind of what we needed. Hooping. If it was a pretty big order, we would all jump in and do some hooping. So it's not making an ice cream cone.
That's right.
It's a little bit more.
Yeah. It ain't no Jason's Deli. All right, number 3. You're not very mechanically minded.
Right.
Which kind of speaks for itself, but there's some general things that you probably want to know how to do on your machine if something does go wrong. So maybe that's not your wheelhouse. Maybe you don't even know what a screwdriver is, or where Hooterville is.
If some people can't handle a bird's nest, and a bird's nest is not the end of the world. It's usually pretty easy to fix.
It's very frustrating, and it looks like a tragedy, but it's fairly simple.
But it's not. But and a needle break. I'm going to tell you, this is hard to believe, but this is the honest truth. And I think it was one of Vinny Ecarino's customers. They called this is truth. The truth. Ask Vinny this when we go to Atlantic City. This customer called tech support to have them come and change the needles in their machine.
I can believe that.
Seriously. And at the time, you kind of laughed at it, but then again, it's like, why did we sell this person the machine, really, if they didn't have just basics? Mm-hmm. Which leads into this, if you don't know how to just do the general maintenance on your machine, like oiling, mm-hmm. which is not hard, but it does take a little bit of time. You need to know which way to put the needle in, how to change the needle.
Which is a struggle. Right.
And what to do with the machine when things aren't going right.
Yeah.
What if it's looping? Do you know how to adjust your tensions? Do you know how to adjust your bobbin tension? Things like that. And there's some people who you could tell them this 25 times and show them, and they just never get it. Yeah. And we've had customers who just I can't do this. It's too hard. So yeah, if you're not a little bit mechanical minded or able to jump in and do these things, you probably don't want to do this.
Yeah, or at least try to figure it out. Get on the phone with tech support, have them walk you through it. That's how you learn. Get your hands mm-hmm. dirty, figure it out. And that's just not for some people.
Exactly.
That's okay.
Yeah,
Jason's Deli's hiring.
If you can make an ice cream cone, we got a place for you.
Let me refer you to my friend Jason.
When's the last time you ate there?
Probably 5 years ago.
You don't like it, do you?
I don't like to eat out, period.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd rather stay home.
Well, you cook better than they do.
Anybody. Chef Gordon Ramsay. All right, number 4. You don't have basic computer skills.
And I know this sounds silly, but we've had people who literally, if you don't understand Windows, even if you're not digitizing, and we don't recommend new people to digitize, but you need some editing software. You need to be able to just make a basic name. But there are folks who can't even open up Windows and get into their software. Not as much as it's not, doesn't happen that much, but it's something that you need to be aware of. You need to have some basic computer knowledge. How to put a design on a memory stick in Windows, how to put it in a folder, how to make a folder. And again, we'll show you this or walk you through this, but we have literally had people who can't do the basic stuff. But we had one person here, it's been about 10 years ago, she was giving us grief. And we finally told her, ma'am, you need to take just take a basic, she couldn't do the basic Windows stuff. And you know what, when you look back on it, is that our fault for selling her a machine? We probably should take some blame for that too. But you assume everybody knows, because computers are so much
a part of
our daily lives. You assume that people know how to do the basic stuff in Windows. To some people, editing software is very intimidating, and I understand that. I get that, but
it intimidates me.
If you can't, yeah, but you know how to type out a name.
Yeah, I can do it. I'm just not good at it, and
Well, you don't have to, in Willcom, for example, you can go in there and make templates to where you don't have to go in there and do a lot of settings and stuff.
And I'll say this too, there's a lot of stuff on there you're not going to use anyway.
Yeah, but you should know how to do your basic level.
Correct.
And Willcom has classes on the basics, and that you could take as many times as you need. But again, they're not going to help you if you don't know the basic.
Or you can't even get on the computer to get to the classes.
Exactly. And that, believe it or not, I know that sounds silly, but we've actually had people who are like, I don't know how to do that. So if you don't have those basic Windows know-how, then maybe it's not for you. Because even if you never edit anything, you need to know how to work your lettering software, because it's going to cost you you're going to go broke. You're going to go broke sending out
names,
lettering, and names. You never want to do that.
All right, finally,
and this one was, I really thought about this one. This was kind of a reach on this one.
It offended me when I saw it, because it just says you aren't creative, which I took personally. Well,
here's what I mean by creative.
That's a beautiful picture.
I like that picture. Here's what I mean by creative. I don't mean from an artistic. I don't mean you have to be artistic. I don't. But here's what's going to happen. That's what happened with us. Let's say you're taking a logo, and somebody comes in and says, "Well, I want my name on a shirt with a logo." Okay. Well, they may say, "I want." They may say, "Well, what do you think? Where should I put the name?" Well, you can put it under it, over it. Maybe you want to put the name on the right chest, but you need to come up with creative ideas on maybe how to put a design together, or if they're taking, let's say somebody comes in and they want, I want a design here, and I want one here, and I want one here. Well, maybe you don't want it there. It's hard to hoop. May have to charge you more. What about if we took it and we put it maybe on the back, the yoke of your shirt? Maybe that. Oh, yeah, that looks pretty good if you put it back there. So,
I don't think that's creativity. That's coerciveness.
No, that's it is creativity too. You need creative ideas,
or you need to understand how designs should be laid out on something. Mm-hmm. If somebody comes to you with like what the example you just gave, you have to be like, pump the brakes. You don't want all this.
Well, another thing too, they try to cram too much stuff into a left chest design, and they want so much detail that the machine's not going to do it. And nobody's machine's going to do it, and it's going to make your embroidery. It's going to frustrate your embroiderer, and the embroidery's going to look horrible, mm-hmm. and your customer's not going to be happy. They don't want to pay you for it. So,
or they say they want a logo on a hat that's entirely too big. And it's not,
exactly.
It's like, this isn't going to work. Let's think about this.
In defense of the customer, they'll go to Walmart or somewhere and buy a hat, and they see all this embroidery all over the bill. And
look up under the bill of that one.
Yeah, well, that's not embroidery.
It's not. I know.
Yeah, but if you see embroidery, they say, "I want this done," and you tell them, "Well,
you're gonna have to do that.
You can't do that." And they're like, "Well, they did it. Well, it was done before it was put together." Or you see embroidery going up like this, and they're saying, "Well, hey, this is what I want on my hat." Well, we can't do that. We can't possibly do that. Well, somebody did it. Yeah, it was done in China or wherever.
China.
Yeah. So you have to be not only creative in an artistic way or putting designs together, but you also have to be creative in how you handle your customers. How you like that segue?
Oh,
that was a pretty good one. I thought of that all by myself.
Talking them off a ledge.
So, and what I mean by that is, a customer may want all this stuff, and good and well, you can't do that because of the limitations of the machine or just the design's too busy. So it's up to you to say, well, we can't do that, but what about if we do this and move this here and take this out and do that? You do have to have, and this is dealing with customers.
Mm-hmm.
Customers want something that can't be done, but they wonder why. Well, why can't I do that?
Yeah.
Well, why can't you embroider my purse on way down here on the bottom? Well, there's no way to hoop that and get that in there, and you can't do that. Well, why not? They don't understand. It's not their fault. They just know what they want, but they don't understand the limitations of embroidery and an embroidery machine. So that was probably that's tough to deal with some. If you explain diplomatically to a person they can't have that because of this, but you can have this. I'm going to say 80% of the people, and I will say 80% will say that's fine. What can you do? And usually it's fine, but that other 20% will say, well, I'll just go somewhere that can do it. No, knowing that nobody can do that. But some people don't want to hear that. So, if you're not creative and diplomatic and you don't have the ability to say no, sometimes you just have to say no in a very nice way and not offend anybody. And if a person walks out the door, you just got to let them walk out the door because they're not going to get it anywhere else.
Yeah.
And that's tough because, when you're a small business and you rely on, small orders and people coming to you, you never want somebody to walk out that door without being able to do something for them.
Yeah,
so
because they're probably not coming back.
That's the kind of creativity that I'm really talking about. And a little bit of artistic stuff too.
That was one of my positives that you took off, is the ability to be creative with your embroidery machine.
Well, yes, I did.
I had 12, probably.
I know you did. Are there any bonus ones?
I wanted to say that was one I really liked, is, the ability to be creative. Like, let's say you create your own brand, and a cool logo. And I mean, you see all kinds of stuff that's out there that people are doing with their machines. That is just, it's beautiful stuff. And it's some design that they came up on their own. So I think that's
okay. Well, we can add a bonus one here.
I just did.
Oh, okay. A bonus creative. Yes, and you can be creative because embroidery is an art form.
Yep.
And I will always say that. A big company like Polo, Ralph Lauren, doesn't look at it that way, right? Because all they're sewing is that little pony.
My Little Pony.
That little pony,
or the bear,
which has sold billions of
nationwide
shirts. And that design's got like 980 some stitches in it. And you think, look at the Nike swoosh. That thing's got like 500 stitches in it.
But somebody thought of that, created it, and now it's known worldwide. So that could be you.
Yeah, you're right. So creativity could be a positive easily and a negative.
Yeah.
That these are things that we came up with that you got to kind of look out for.
I'll just say, I didn't put any negatives down.
No, you didn't.
My entire list was
I did all the negatives. I did. And I took your positive and negative.
You did. Which is what's happened my entire life.
Oh, please.
I'm kidding.
Anyway, I thought this was pretty good.
It is good.
Once we got here talking out, because I was like, man, what are we going to talk about? Because we had a guest scheduled that petered out.
He didn't.
No, we'll have.
No. No, one guest did.
One guest did.
Yeah.
I'm not naming any names.
I'll do it.
Phil Hooks.
Yeah. He said he wants to stay on the down low.
Yeah, he. I talked to him this morning, and he never even mentioned it.
Of course he didn't.
Huh?
Of course he didn't.
No.
He's a coward.
He is. Yeah, he's an embarrassment. He'll never listen to this. He doesn't care. Maybe we need to have Brandon on here.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to go the same way.
You think so?
Mm-hmm.
No, let me ask him.
Listen, if your daddy's a coward, you probably a coward too.
He's scared of me. Let me ask him.
He is?
Yeah, he'll say, "Oh, if I don't do this, I'll get fired." I'm like, yeah, you will. You will get fired. I'll fire you.
Well, why didn't you pull that on Phil? You coward.
Because he knows I won't. And I wouldn't fire Brandon yet. I'm just joking. We got a good bunch of guys. And if some people just aren't comfortable.
Oh, I get it. I'm giving a hard time.
Yeah.
I think if somebody asked me, I'd be like, I might have a hard time saying yes. Only because I feel like nobody cares what I have to say.
Back in a former life, when I was working for the newspaper,
I remember it well.
Covering
regional hockey,
the East Coast Hockey League. There was a little AM radio station in Greensboro, and they would interview me about once a month, and I bet they didn't have 20 listeners, but during between periods, about once a month. I guess they were just out of people to talk to. They would come and grab me. Say, hey, you got time for like a 10-minute interview? And the first time they did it, I'm like, who are you talking to? And they're like, no, you're the beat writer for the High Point Enterprise, and we want to get your take on this. I'm like, all right. I'm like, oh Lord, what are they going to ask me? And I didn't want to make a fool of myself.
Yeah,
but it turned out good.
That's what we do.
It was good. I enjoyed it. I got to where I'm like, well, this is kind of fun. And I was like, man, I wish they'd ask me again. But yeah, they put me on the radio during the season probably 5 times, 6 times. So I guess I did okay. They kept coming. Either they were scraping the bottom of the barrel and couldn't find anybody else, and they were desperate, or they liked me. But
we used to do them on
a celebrity.
It was Guilford College used to have a college.
You guys played, didn't you guys?
Oh yeah, I've done several. Yeah, that was at whatever the station is in Winston, the Christian radio station. We did several interviews and play. That was weird.
Yeah,
that's uncomfortable.
I played. I didn't play. I was just trying to think. My mom, when she was a little girl, she was on the radio every Saturday. Did you know this?
Yeah.
She and her sister played on the radio, WOAY.
I followed in her footsteps.
Yeah, she played in the radio. I was just trying to think if I did. I was on the radio when I was a kid, but it was like a chorus.
You sang a chorus?
Yeah, well, me and like 6 other kids. You couldn't tell me from anybody else, but it was a little... I miss, we're digressing, but I miss the old AM radio stations where they were more centered around the communities instead of, when I was a kid growing up, there was nothing was on FM radio. I mean, I grew up in the boonies, but if you turned that, and yes, our cars had AM FM radios. There were no, this was before 8 tracks and cassettes, and I know I'm dating myself, but this is the honest truth. You had an AM FM radio. There was nothing on FM radio, very little. Everything was on AM radio. All your top 40 stations, and we used to listen to I can't think of the name of that show that came on every Saturday with the top 20 hits. Was Rick Dees?
Rick Dees?
No, that was before him. Anyway,
Art Bell, Coast to Coast.
But these. They on Saturdays they would always have like local bands around, and it was really cool. And man, when I was a kid, I'm like, holy cow, they're on the radio.
Yeah,
and they probably had 150 listeners. I want to digress again, since we're talking about this, and if you guys can turn this off, but when I was working, when I was a broadcast coordinator for Belk. And I bought radio. These little towns like Eden, Reedsville, Mount Airy, they had AM radio stations. And a lot of elderly people would listen to those AM stations. And I would buy a lot of ads there, especially when it came to, like they would have a senior day. I would buy a radio spot. And I got to write the commercials too, because it was a little AM station. And they would say, what do you want to say?
Who did the voice work?
Oh, I did. Usually they did. They had somebody there reading. Yeah, I never did that. I never did any of that. But I would write the commercial. They would produce it, and then they would play it back to me on the phone. And this was before internet.
Proof it.
And I would listen to it, and I would say, well, I want to make this change or this change. And then, but I remember, God, what's that little town? Oh, Eden, North Carolina. There's a little AM station up there. I could take $150.
Just buy the whole station for the day.
They would give me I would get 2 spots for one. 30-second radio, 30 second. And I could buy 30 spots in a day. That's a lot.
Oh, yeah.
It didn't matter what time. Then when it went to FM, they started getting expensive. And, they were like $250, $300, $400 a spot. And the closer it was to prime time, the more it went up. If you wanted to buy one at 1 o'clock in the morning when nobody's listening, you get one for $20. Anyway.
If you're in 5 o'clock traffic, though, that's a $500 spot.
That's probably more than that. I don't know what it costs now, but. Yeah. Anyway, it's a little history on it.
Well, yeah, you learned a little bit about the radio.
Exactly, about that there radio.
All right. Yeah, we hope this was a pretty cool topic. So,
I enjoyed doing it. I thought it was pretty good. I thought it was something to cover. And you folks that are in embroidery already, you probably know this. I mean, if you've gotten into it, from scratch, there's a pretty good learning curve to it.
Yeah.
But once you get into it and get going, and it's a lot of fun, very lucrative, and very rewarding.
Yeah, and creative.
Well, if you're not creative, though, that's going to be your downfall.
Okay, see what you did. There you go.
I'm not being negative. I'm just saying.
Okay. Well, yeah, leave your comments down below if you got any other pluses or negatives to it. Maybe you've recently started out and things you find that are maybe something we didn't cover. Yeah, if there's something, I would love to hear from listeners. If there's something that you thought was really hard that you didn't expect it would be this hard, let us know. Maybe something for a topic or something we can touch on at some point. But I do think with our industry, I think the positives far outweigh the negatives. Yeah, I mean, I couldn't even come up with one. Got that? Well, I'm just a positive individual. Okay. The person that made the comment about the Gatorade, did you see that on the last video? I don't know what he meant. I don't either. So explain yourself. He said Gatorade's supposed to be thicker? I don't know. Is he talking about what's in this? I don't know. Because this is corn liquor. So what do you want me to do about it? I usually drink coffee, but this is water today. Yeah. Anyway, I was going to respond, and I was like, I don't know what he's talking about. But anyway, thanks for leaving the comment. As obscure as it is, we appreciate it. Every comment, even if it's negative, or you say, hey, you guys suck, I hate you, that's fine. Because who was it that said, no, jeez, what's wrong? Tangents? No. What's happening? I don't know what's happening. I had it on the tip of my tongue. I can't think of what it was. Any publicity is good publicity. Oh, okay. Even if somebody says, "Hey, you suck, I hate you." Yeah, well, you listened. Yeah. So we got you. We got. But I've also had people say, "Yeah, I couldn't stand but 2 minutes of this, and I left." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry. We're not for everybody." Yeah, we're definitely not. We know that. Yeah, but we try to give you a little bit of entertainment too, and a little bit of fun. You can't take yourself too seriously. I mean, no. We truly love doing these. We love our industry. We want everybody to be successful. And if you got questions, please please let us know. But I do want to thank everybody for listening and we have more listeners than watchers. Yeah, probably so. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's some hit, some I don't know. It doesn't matter. I'll tell you, every show I go to, I was shocked at how many people in Long Beach came up that said, oh, and they said they listened. And there were several people who didn't even know that we had a YouTube channel. I said, yeah. Because somebody said, oh yeah, you're the podcast guy. He said, I get that on the phone. So that's what you look like. And I'm like, well, we have a YouTube channel too. Yeah, and people call on the phone and it's like, oh, is this Brent? I'm like, yeah, it's me. Yeah. It's embarrassing. No, I was, we were in Long Beach. Somebody came up and they were saying, hey, I really like your podcast. Tell Brandon I say hello. And he just kept on. And I'm like, hey, I really. It's the first time hearing of it, so thanks for telling me.
Well, anyway, yeah. He said tell Brandon hello. First is Brandon here. I said no. Well, why didn't you bring him? I'm like, oh, here we go. Did you come to see me or did you come to see Brandon?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah.
And then Thad was standing there, and the guy left, and Thad said,
5 minutes later,
you're a celebrity. No, he said, how's it feel to be a celebrity? I said, it feels good, buddy.
Feels good.
It feels really good.
No, we don't think that it's a joke.
No, we don't. We do this. I hope you're getting something beneficial out of it instead of hearing us rattle. And hopefully we can make you smile and make you laugh.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Yeah,
and if you're ever in Hooterville, go watch the Hound Dogs play baseball.
Yes, they are going. They're going to be on tear this year.
I think they're going to the World
Cup.
They're doing the World Cup this
World
year.
Cup.
The Hooterville. Mark my word. I'm going to write it down right now. The Hooterville Hound Dogs are going to the World Series.
I'm going to digitize a Hooterville Hound Dog logo and make a hat.
We need to make a Hooterville hat and wear it on here.
Done. I'm on it.
We need to do that.
I'll put my digitizing skills back to the test.
We could have a raffle and raffle off a Hooterville Hound Dog hat. And have him send us a picture of it, and we could put it on.
Put it on the social medias.
Yeah.
We'll see. All right. Well, thanks for listening, subscribing. Make sure you do subscribe.
Hey, shout out! I want to do a shout out to Roca Embroidery. That
Shout
dude,
out.
Arnaldo.
Please.
I'm sorry, Orlando. That dude's killing it.
Yeah,
he is absolutely killing it on his designs and his embroidery. That guy's got it going on.
I like to get as many hats as I can from customers. I just talked to Ben this morning. I was like, you need to get more hats because I need one. He said, well, I don't really make them. I said, we'll make one.
Ben who?
Ben Floyd Fabrication.
Oh, well.
My Sew NC hat, I wore it. I didn't wear it today. Yep, lucky.
They sent me this hat.
Yep.
I got 3 of them. This is black clover.
Yes.
Put a plug in for them. They sell. You'll find these at golf courses usually.
Yeah. Big old brand.
Right there is black clover. But I gave Brandon one, and I gave his brother one, and they're supposed to send me some more hats. Okay. These are great hats. I love these. This is an actual adjustable and flex fit.
Yeah, no, that's kind of a new.
That blew my mind. How can you can't do that? You can't do that.
They did
it.
They did it. Creativity. All right, folks. Hit the notifications. Leave comments. Go subscribe. Rate us on iTunes. And we'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks always for listening. And go be creative. Goodbye.
Adios.